we're going to talk about highlights. 2 reasons to use them, 2 ways to create them, and what the hell do they have to do with Captain Kirk? Spock, I don't understand.
And then how do you know?
Well, people talk about people, and I hear things, and I know.
You say he is in the Guards. His name?
Baron Christian de Neuvillette.
Wow, Courtney, I just gotta tell you.
Yes, since last week.
Yeah, what?
Come to Paris from Normandy.
So soon. So soon.
This movie's really something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good. Now go out and enjoy.
Sure is.
My
Dreamy.
dear child, you who love only words, wit, poetry. Why, for all you know, the man may be a
Welcome to Pull My Focus, adventures in the world of digital filmmaking, where we give you the inside tips you need to make great video. In this video, I promise I am not going to say something corny like the eyes are the window to the soul. But what I will say is that the eyes, and this has been proven by eye tracking software, are the first thing we look at when we meet a person. And the reason is because we know the other person is also using their eyes to look and take in you and their environment, and the eyes tell us a lot. And it's no different when we're watching a film or a video. We're drawn to the eyes of the actor, and those eyes are an instrument that the actors use to emote and convey information. So how can we help them out? If you follow traditional 3-point lighting, which is really 4, key, fill, maybe a back edge light, but also ambient light, let's not forget about that. At times when you're lighting, you might notice that something's lacking, and it might happen to be in the area around the eyes. For example, when lights are high, like outside in the midday sun, and depending on how recessed the eyes are or how prominent the brow, we can get very shady eyes, what we call raccoon eyes. Now that's an extreme example of what I'm talking about, but you get the point. Sometimes you may want to or need to add additional fill to the eyes. One way is with a small soft source near the camera, maybe even snooted to some degree with black wrap to focus on the area around the eye. Another way to do this is to cut a rectangle out of show card, the film crew term for cards that are black on one side, white on another. Art stores call them art card or presentation board. Here I have an LED par on a dimmer, and I'm using a grip stand to rig the card facing the actor. I'll make it bright so you can see it. Bit extreme, but it may look familiar. It's why we nicknamed these a Kirk light back in the day. They also used it on the Addams Family on Morticia to extreme comedic effect. Now I'll dim it down, and you can see that it just fills in the eyes and a little bit of the face. Now don't worry if the rectangle you cut is too big. You can use paper tape to adjust it where it's cutting the light so you just get it on the eyes in the area that you want. Now you can also add diffusion if you want. Here I'll add it between the light and the card. You'll notice the fill spreads a little bit more around the face. Here I pull the card out all together, and I'm back to a front fill that also fills the eyes. Now some of you may have noticed that these highlights we've been playing with are also reflected in the actor's eyes, which is a nice thing because it can give the eye a more realistic and rounded look. And for darker eyes like James has, give it a little bit more contrast. Now some of you might be thinking, well, wait a minute, isn't that what an eye light is? The light reflected in the subject's eye? Well, yes, and that's the other type of eye light that I was referring to earlier. And it's where that saying, oh, the eyes are the window to the soul comes from. I mean, just in shooting this video, I had a hard time keeping those reflections out of the actor's eyes so that I could do the before of the before and after shots. For one of Courtney's, I had to set a flag to take a specific part of the key out of Courtney's eye. So in video, this focus of, adding a light in order to have a reflection in the eye as, the eye light, I kind of got to call 50% BS on it. I mean, it's normally handled by your key or your fill, and it's more important, I found, to add a little bit of fill to the area around the eye versus just adding a reflection to the eye. You'll see certain shots where they have circle eye lights that they put around the camera, or there were videos back in the day with fluorescence. And those are great, but they're all for effect. They're all about drawing your attention to, hey, look at me, I'm in the eye. And, I think they're kind of a little bit overdone. They draw a little bit too much attention to themselves. I would say stay away from that stuff, except for Darius, because he can do no wrong. Now, in still photography portraiture, eye lights, that is the reflected eye light, is an art form in and of itself. And they can give you clues to how they lit the shot. But they're capturing a still where every pixel is scrutinized, where for us, that's just one frame. I mean, in filmmaking, actors or our subject are moving, and therefore it's a little hard to pin down a reflected eye light in one exact spot. But in close-ups, they are important, especially in feature films where that close-up in all its glamour is projected onto the big screen. Here's the Kirk light fill reflected in the eye. It's very straight on, level with the camera, and I think draws a little too much attention to itself because of how centered it is in the eye. Here's a bounce card fill reflected in the side of the eye. Here's a softbox fill from the key side, filling the face, but also mimicking the reflection of a possible key light. It's also a bigger light source, so it feels like a window or a bright wall reflected in the eye. Now, you don't have to add an eye light. It's not a requirement, and it may be a desirable effect to not have one at all. It's somewhat like ambient audio, something in the background that without it, you notice something's off, but you can't put your finger on it. Like in those horror movies where they're like, do you hear that? No, what? Exactly. There's nothing. There's nothing at all. For a good example, watch The Godfather. Any scenes, particularly in the office, with the Godfather himself. Way beyond no eye light. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out pullmyfocus.tv for our companion articles and other information about our show. Make sure to check out our other videos. I think you'll find them rather illuminating.